Hi, this is Jill Simonello, and I am the managing editor with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. And today, we are driving the 2021 Mustang Mach E. And in case you missed it, this is Ford's all-electric Mustang SUV. So, we are going to be driving this around Chicago and beyond Chicago a little bit to look at winter driving conditions in an EV and specifically in this vehicle. So, let's take a closer look right now. Since we are going to be looking at range today in the Mustang Mach E, the engineers at Ford actually recommend that I go in and clear out the driving history because this vehicle actually learns how specific drivers drive. So, you tap this little icon there, you hit the settings button, and because this learns how people drive, I don't know what other people have done in this car. So, settings, hit the vehicle button, scroll all the way up, and then what you're going to do is you're going to press and hold this button right here that says EV driving history, press and hold to reset. So, here's to hoping that this will actually make a difference, because right now it's saying I'm 100% charged and I only have 181 miles range. So whoever was driving this before me was not the most cautious of drivers. So here we go. All right, so that should do it. And whoa, look at that. My range automatically jumped up to 223 miles. Now again, a lot of this is going to be due to cold weather. I think the range should be 250 miles, but I've got the heat on and it's cold in Chicago today. So we're gonna take a drive and we're gonna see what happens next. As I am starting out on my drive today, there was one other thing that the Ford engineers recommended, and that was to basically precondition the vehicle. And so you can go on to the the Ford Pass app, and basically you can set your departure time. And by doing that, the vehicle will automatically pre-warm. So the heated seats are on, the heated steering wheel is on, the cabin is warm, and so is the battery. So that is supposed to help with extending the range of the vehicle because you don't have a cold start. So I started with 216 miles range. Let's see where we end up. Now that I'm on the highway, and before we go too much further, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the goal for this video. And the idea is to really look at range. So I've done all the things that Ford recommended. I reset the driving history. I preconditioned the vehicle, and now I'm just going to go out 50 miles and come back. And there may be a couple stops along the way. Maybe there's lunch. Maybe there is a hike in my future. But the thing you need to know is I'm not going to be hypermiling, and I'm not going to be driving, well, like me. So I'm not going to be driving aggressively. The idea is to be relatively moderate. I've set the cruise control at 65. Now that the cabin has been preconditioned, I have turned off my heated steering wheel. I've turned off my heated seat, or at least I have it on automatic, so the car will turn it off when it deems ready. And we have the climate set at 69 degrees. So, like I said earlier, it's a little bit more than 32 degrees now. It got up to 36. Ooh, 36. But we just really wanted to check out what this is like driving an EV in the winter, and there might even be some snow driving thrown in. So, stay tuned. Here we are. We hit the halfway point, but I have to tell you the halfway point is not what I said it would be at the beginning. I said 50 miles, but when I was looking down, I felt so good about my range, I decided to go 60. So we crossed the border into Wisconsin, went past Kenosha, and we're about 30 miles from Milwaukee when we decided to turn around. So we made a pit stop for some lunch, and we are on our way back to Chicago. And we've done 68.4 miles at this point, and we are down to 138 miles of range. Still feeling completely good about that. No worries about getting back to Chicago or back home. There might even be another pit stop on our way. And as I'm looking at my this trip screen, the biggest thing that is affecting my range right now, in addition to climate, which frankly isn't affecting it that much at all, is my driving route. So I am on the highway, and I have been pretty much 100%. And we started out at 65 miles per hour, but I will tell you, as the speed limit has gone up, so has my speed increased. So I've been going at about 79, 80 miles per hour, which is 10 miles over the suggested limit. So trying not to really break any laws, but, stay within a comfortable range. And really, I'm just moving with the flow of traffic. So keeping the cruise control on. I haven't really tried to do, again, any hypermiling or aggressive driving, and just trying to see how comfortable I feel. And so far, again, pretty comfortable. So before we take another break and move on to the next check-in, I do want to talk a little bit about this vehicle, because this is the premium all-wheel drive model. So this is kind of the middle of the road model, and it does have the extended range battery. So I think earlier I was saying 250 miles of range. EPA estimates around 270 miles of range with the extended battery. And the only option this vehicle has, in addition to the extended range battery and the all-wheel drive, is the clear coat paint, which is a metallic red. I think it's a rapid red metallic paint, and that's about $400. So the as-tested price of this vehicle is $56,200, and that is without the $7,500 federal credit. So we are 51 miles from Chicago, and I've got 135 miles of range. Yeah, there's definitely going to be another stop along the way. I'm feeling super confident. So, stay tuned. All right, really haven't gone very far, but I realized that I also wanted to mention to you that it is a little bit gusty today, too. In addition to getting some weather, there's a little bit of snow hitting the windshield, and it's the temperature's dropped a little bit. Wind gusts are about 28 miles per hour. And like I said, we're in Kenosha. That's what the airport is reporting. And so we're getting pushed around a little bit on the highway. So that also is going to affect my range, but still not worried. Because I am still feeling so good about the range, I'm probably about 25 miles from home. My husband and I decided to make a pit stop, and we're going to take a hike. So I just wanted to do a quick run through, because this will reset when I restart the vehicle. So my acceleration has been good, my deceleration has been okay, and it's the speed that is actually killing my range here, because I was going between 65 and 80 miles an hour on the highway. Now, here's the important thing to note. I've gone 100 miles in more than 2 hours, and I still have 104 miles of range. So again, that's 204 miles of range, actual range, that I have experienced so far in this vehicle. We'll see what it's like when I come back to the car after it's sitting in the cold for about half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see what that does to the range. As it is, right now, I'm at 52% with 104 miles to go. All right, we were away from the vehicle for 50 minutes, and as you can see, it started snowing outside. And I'm going to turn on the vehicle and see where we are with the range. All right, so it says we are still at 104, and we'll see how that goes once I actually start driving. The vehicle hasn't really cooled down too much. It still feels kind of toasty in here. Okay, it just went down to 103. But we are starting a new trip. You can see we are starting over from scratch, and 0 miles, just starting to drive. So here we go. Let's see how our range ends up when we get back to my house. Just a quick check-in as we are nearing the home front. After being away from the vehicle for almost an hour, and then having to come in, turn the climate back on, we didn't pre-warm anything, and we did also turn on like the window defrosts front and rear. We dropped about 15 miles of range pretty quickly. We've gone about 6 miles so far, and we've gone through 15 miles of range. So below freezing, the snow is falling, the car wasn't warm. I'm attributing all of it to that. However, again, still not completely freaking out. We went 2 hours, and on the first trip, we've been in the car for 20 minutes this time, and I still have 90 miles of range. So, yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. So I'm still on my way back to Chicago, but I just wanted to interrupt for a quick minute because I've been using adaptive cruise control on this trip. And yes, it is snowing, and yes, that's not an ideal situation to use any of that, but I was curious. I wanted to see what would happen, and what I thought would happen happened. It just shut off. I got an alert in the gauge cluster. It says pre-collision assist not available, sensor blocked. So adaptive cruise control is off, and I presume that that means that any kind of forward sensing, adaptive, automatic, emergency, braking, whatever, collision assist might also be off. So, thank you, snow. Boo, technology. All right, so I am going to interrupt this regularly scheduled review to talk about snow driving. Literally just gotten the Mustang Mach E, and it's snowing in Chicago today. I've parked in my alley. It is not plowed. So I just wanted to talk you through what it's like to drive this electric SUV, which has all-wheel drive, in snow. So here we go. Here we are on my unplowed alley, and I am going to show you the difference between one pedal driving and using the brake. So here we are, one pedal driving, about 10 miles an hour. I take my foot off of the accelerator. The vehicle just cleanly stops. Here we are. I'm putting my foot back on the accelerator. We're at about 10 miles an hour. I put my foot on the brake, and there was some shimmy and slide. So as long as you are using the one pedal driving system, this handles amazingly well in snow. I am super impressed so far. I literally just want to keep driving. I want to go find more snow to drive in. All right, so we are just outside of my garage, and I have to tell you, I went a little bit longer than I totally intended to go. We have been on the road for 2 hours and 52 minutes, so almost 3 hours, and I still have 70 miles of range, and most of that was at highway speeds. So I'm going to introduce you to this guy right here. This is my husband, and this is the guy who said he would never own a non-manual transmission vehicle, but I may have gotten permission to own something like this for my personal car.
You can own it, I just won't.
But he said he liked it and he thinks it's cool.
I do. It is cool. I would take it periodically from time to time, but I still love driving a manual car more than anything.
Okay, no argument there. But the point that I wanted to make, and the reason why I'm giving him some camera time in his snarky self, is because of what he does for a living. So he goes out on client visits. He drives a lot. So yesterday, he drove 90 miles, and that's not unusual. And previously, whenever I've had an electric car, he's like, yeah, I would not feel comfortable, or, you know, driving that, I would worry about range. So I'm going to pose this question to you.
Yes.
Would you feel comfortable driving this car for your job?
Absolutely.
Why?
As long as I'm under 100, as long as I'm under, probably 70, 80 miles one way. Yeah.
70, 80 miles one way, he would feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, with what we just did, absolutely, because, I mean, it depends. Obviously, depends on winter or summer. If it's summer, you know, I could even go higher because there's so much more in the car that you're not engaging. Versus now, where we had heated steering wheel, you had a heated seat, you've got the heat jacked up in the car. Just so many things that you wouldn't have on during the summer. Drive with the windows down for airflow. Yeah, it would work. And there's plenty of room, obviously.
all right, so there you go. No range anxiety here. I feel super good about this. We probably could have gone all the way to Milwaukee and back, but just wanted to be careful because this is my first time testing range. And I could have done it. I still have 70 miles of range. feeling really good about that. So, all right, let's wrap this up. It is time to wrap this video up, and you may have noticed some time has elapsed. I'm not wearing the same clothes. It has been about 3 days since I was last in this vehicle. So I took my road trip to Wisconsin on a Saturday. It is now Tuesday morning, and I've basically had this car plugged in the entire time since. And I will point out that at this point, I'm at 98% charged, which isn't where I wanted to be at this point. But I did try to go find a level 2 charger, and long story short, it failed miserably. I used the Ford Pass app trying to find someplace close to here, and the first one was snowed in. And the second one, well, that was kind of an interesting story because apparently people still save seats as adults. I pull into the spot. There was a red paneled van parked in front of the charger that worked, because there were two, but only one of them worked. So I angled my car to try and get closer, and the dude in the van pulls out, a Nissan Leaf pulls in, and they both start yelling at me in Spanish because they were there first. Dude, that is not how that works. So needless to say, I plugged in and offered to plug their vehicle in when I was done. I was there for about 45 minutes, really only added about 1% to the battery and a couple of miles, which I probably used driving out and coming back. So that was a complete wash. I probably didn't need to do that. So what I want to say is, if you are going to have a vehicle like this, any EV whatsoever, you really need to have an at-home charger. It is so important because it takes your vehicle 96 hours to charge if you are going to plug into a wall jack, but it takes significantly less, like probably a third of the time, if you have a level 2 charger. So plug in overnight and you're good to go. So I really like this vehicle. I liked everything about it. I did not have range anxiety, but the charging situation, this isn't working. I'm seriously going to conclude this now and send you to the website if you want more information on the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach E. There will be an article with more details and a complete review. As it is, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you down the road.